Chapter 10: The Art of Motivational Miracles. I began my business career as a broker for a New York Stock Exchange member firm. I had my own office in a relatively small town and was given the freedom to work independently as if I was an entrepreneur. In that field during the 1980s, there was tremendous positions run by mutual funds, insurance companies, and large brokerage firms to get people like me to market their investment products and services. Every few days, I was offered the opportunity to win a trip, a car, a cruise, and every imaginable inducement to capture my attention and, and that of brokers across the country. This was before the internet revolutionized the investment and financial planning world. Virtually all of my critical information was printed out on a bulky, noisy, temperamental machine we called the night wire. Every morning when I arrived at my office, there would be a printout laying on the floor that often would stretch 30 or 40 feet. The night wire told brokers across the country what new stock and bonds were available, what special contests and promotions were offered, as well as performance numbers for individual brokers' sales. It was fascinating to observe which brokers' sales numbers shot up at what time. I found it comical that Bill or Fred would sell billions of dollars of oil and gas partnership just to win what I thought was a dumb trip to Chicago. I would laugh to myself thinking that with a fraction of the commissions they earned for those sales, they could travel around the world, but somehow a free trip to Chicago had motivated them. I certainly felt that I was not vulnerable to these kinds of tawdry, commercial motivational tactics. Then one morning we were going over the night wire and I announced that any broker that sold several million dollars worth of a new bond offering would receive 6 prime stakes overnight to their office, packed in dry ice and a bottle of French champagne. By the end of the following day, I had broken all of my sales records and most of the records for the entire firm before I realized that while I had been making fun of other brokers around there getting hooked by a gimmick, I had done the same thing, only worse. I didn't get a trip to Chicago or anywhere else. I simply got a box of frozen meat and a bottle of carbonated alcohol. Then I began to realize that motivation is among the most individualized, personalized human traits. We spend inordinate amounts of time and money tracking what people do and very little effort and energy determining why they do it. If the CEO of my firm had called me and asked if I was excited about the possibility of winning a trip to Chicago, I would immediately responded with a simple yes sir. Then I would have gone back to my office and done nothing out of the ordinary for the next few days as a result of that promotion. In fact, I probably would have been demotivated because I would have been thinking about how absurd it was that they thought I was going to go out of my way and make an extraordinary effort for a trip I had no interest in taking. On the other hand, my By the next week, brokers across America were reading their night wire, wondering why in the world I broke records to win a package of frozen steak and champagne that they wouldn't have gone across the street to get for free. For this reason, I have, in conjunction with some of the greatest performance masters of all time, developed the ultimate productivity profile. This brief survey tool allows people to assess their own motivational triggers and those of the people with whom they are associated. The ultimate productivity profile is non-threatening in that there are no right or wrong answers. It simply identifies internal and external factors that cause us to perform. The ultimate productivity profile can give more accurate and detailed information in 20 minutes about how to motivate yourself and those around you than you can get in 20 years of a standard work environment relationship. Remember, honest people will rarely, if ever, lie to you, but seldom will they share their deepest, darkest, true feelings with you, assuming they even understand them themselves. I have a friend and colleague who, for many years, ran a $1 billion corporation employing several thousand people. He became legendary by implementing a policy of taking an annual corporate trip. Once a year, every employee from the janitor to the CEO would be given an all expenses paid corporate trip for them and a guest. Employees who had been in the company for 10 years or 10 minutes were all treated the same. Everybody got the free trip. It was front page news every year when 4 or 5 747s flew into town and took all of my friends' employees and guests on an all expenses paid trip to Las Vegas, Disney World, or another exciting destination. I remember an enlightening breakfast meeting I had with my friend when I inquired how he was able to afford such a corporate extravagance. He shared with me that the trip cost about $1,000 per year for each employee. Therefore, he budgeted approximately $20 per week for each member of his entire corporate staff. When I began to understand the scope of the motivation provided for the cost expended, I was astounded. I imagine if instead of my friend offering you an all expenses paid trip for you and a guest to a fantastic location, he told you that you were going to receive an additional $20 a week. If this caught your attention at all, it would probably be demotivating in that it might seem like a paltry sum to present to you in recognition for all of your hard work. On the other hand, my friend's employees were super motivated, tremendously loyal, and very proud to work for an organization that had an outstanding reputation in the community because everybody knew that all of those employees got to go on the annual free trip. It is important to realize that to create more motivation in your life or the lives of those around you, you don't necessarily have to spend more money, more energy, or more time. You have to find their individual and collective motivational buttons and push them. During the mid-1990s, I was invited to tour one of the hottest and fastest growing among the dot-com companies of that time. They were experiencing meteoric success, and their biggest challenge was attracting and retaining qualified people to do all the work they were generating. This company had a tremendous amount of cash on hand, a profit picture that would be the envy of any enterprise, and unbelievable positive potential stretching out into the future. As I arrived for my special tour, I was anticipating a palatial office with plush appointments and state-of-the-art technology. As my assistant and I was escorted into the main lobby, we were nearly struck by a young man in his 20s wearing Bermuda shorts and a tank top, riding a skateboard barefooted at an unbelievable rate of speed. I was shocked when I realized my host and tour guide didn't even seem to notice this unprecedented behavior within a corporate setting. Then we were escorted into a huge area where the computer programmers worked. There was basketball goals, a volleyball net, and a trampoline in the middle of the computer cubicles, and that were decorated more like a college dorm than a traditional setting in corporate America. There was loud music blaring, snack trays conveniently and liberally available throughout the work area, and I received a cordial invitation to participate in something they called the Friday Bear Bash. I was already beginning to feel a bit like Alice in Wonderland, taking a tour of a world with which I was not familiar, so without thinking I agreed to attend the aforementioned Bear Bash. Apparently, every Friday afternoon, this successful corporation would bring in kegs of beer, hire a local band, and have a function that more resembles a fraternity party sorry fraternity party than what I had previously thought of as a corporate function. As I was preparing to tell the CEO I didn't understand what was going on, it dawned on me that I didn't understand his people and what motivated them. Later, I later learned that this particular corporation got more hours of productive work and bottom line profitability out of each employee than anyone in the industry. While these tactics would have spelled an instant failure in the world of accounting or investment banking, it was an absolute prescription for success within the exploring world of technology at that time. When I asked the CEO how in the world he had devised such a plan for his people, he chuckled and gave me the answer that became the birth of the ultimate productivity profile. He said, I asked them, in the world of motivating yourself and those around you, a few people making things happen, a few more watch things happen, and the great multitude of people are unaware that anything happened. I'm quite certain that in your personal and professional life, you are extremely busy. We all have 24 hours every day and manage to fill each of them like me. You probably have a to-do list. Each day is probably scheduled and filled up to overflowing. Most days, some things have to be carried over to tomorrow's list. So let's imagine you come into the office on a typical Monday morning and look at all the things you need to accomplish before Friday evening. You probably would be questioning whether you or anybody else could get all these things done in 5 short work days. Let's say your boss came in and read over your list with you and the list of all the colleagues with whom you work. Let's further assume that after reviewing everyone's calendars, the boss said, I want everyone to get the entire week's activity concluded by noon Wednesday, or else you will suffer the consequences. You can imagine that a millisecond after the boss exited, there would be wailing, garnishing of teeth, and total outrage regarding the absurd and inhuman demands that your boss had put upon you and your co-workers. It would probably approach the low point of motivation for all concerned. It's not hard to imagine that many people might be formulating their letter of resignation and considering their next career move. Then imagine the boss returns in the midst of this motivational desert he has just created and announces, I'm sorry, I failed to mention a small detail when I told you I want you to get an entire week's work done by noon Wednesday, or you would suffer the consequences.